Hiya, hi, hiya. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Stardew Valley Ghost Farm. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Miss Lemon Drop, and we will be playing on my ghost farm. You get to see all the spooky farm animals and the spooky farm people. And yes, I'm also have my Pikachu outfit on. Lemon! Yes, there's Lemon. Woo! Yes. Thanks. I'm glad you're here. And there's a mod in the house to keep control. Yes. Thank you for being here, Six. Mods are always much, much, much appreciated. Now I feel like I'm sitting on my tail and pulling my ears off my head, so there we go. But let me go get Lemon so we can get started, guys. Hold on one second. I can get Lemon in voice chat. Hi, Lemon. We are live. We can hear you now. Let's see. Um. Okay. But see, can Lemon hear me? I don't think Lemon can hear me yet. They are silenced. They are muted.
That'll do it. Hello. I forgot I muted myself because I was eating Oreos.
But yeah, inactive farmhouses. Yeah. So that one's inactive? Okay. And I wonder which. I'm trying to remember who all is everywhere and who all's active. We'll have to review these.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But oh yeah. Thank you. And then ta-da! But then that'll give us more building space.
We like building space.
I thought this was Michigan's worst though.
I thought it was too, but if you take
Maybe
a
they
look
got
at the chunk,
switched.
maybe because take a look at
The
that
horses.
chunk and you'll see why.
Yeah, yeah, I thought so too. But we,
Oh, I forgot I can use a horse.
yeah, I'm just gonna move the horses, and then whichever horse disappears, we'll know. Oh no, we'll be like, oops. Now we know. Dash, Nico, Nico, Nee! Legs, hello! Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh yeah, I might help if I move to the gaming stream. Just on Big Me, you guys can't even see the farm. Such a good streamer. But yes, I have Lemon here with me, guys.
Hello.
I forgot to ask you, did you join via Steam or did you have to use the code?
I've joined via both, I guess, because I joined via
Oh,
Steam,
okay.
but I
But then
also
it asked for the
used
code.
the code. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, I was just curious how that worked because I had never done the code method before.
Wow.
So that's new to me. Hi, Matthew. Thank you for the lurk. I see no ghost. I'll show you the ghost. One, the horses are see through. Yeah, I don't know. Horses are transparent. And then if you come over here, I think it's. Oh, it's early morning too. So the farm animals aren't out yet. Let's see. I gotta unpause time. That'll help.
Oh yeah. I need to get some parsnip seeds from Pierre because it's finally spring in the game, so
Right?
because I still
Oh.
haven't completed my parsnip channel challenge.
Okay, time is no longer frozen. So that means you will see ghost farm animals real soon. But hi, Legs, Matthew Dash 6. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for lurking and listening. I hope you're all having an awesome cat day and relaxing. Come on, farm animals. Oh, it's raining is probably why they don't want to come out. But here's the ghosty animals. You want to see ghosty animals? Ghosty cows and sheep and pigs. There's ghosty animals. And then over here, these are the coops. So you're gonna have ghost animals.
What does a ghost cow say?
Yeah. Huh?
What does a ghost cow say?
Boo? I don't know. There's my ghost blue chicken sleeping. Or he was sleeping. And ghost rabbits. And ghost dinosaurs. Dinos, little stegosauruses. There's an egg that we could collect and make dino mayo, or we could wait and hatch more dino babies.
Oh, dino mayo.
Yeah. A rare delicacy these days.
Oh yeah.
Oh, looks like another chicken hatched. What are we gonna call this chicken? Baby chicken number. I think we kept hatching to try to get blue chickens, so I don't know. It could be blue. It could may not be. Well, I give it blue, whether it's blue or not. How's that go? Blue. Skills reset to level 1. Uh-oh. I think I accidentally pushed a mod button.
Uh-oh.
Reset my skills back to level 1. Oh no.
Not great.
Editing foraging skills. I don't know how to do these. Farming. I have added mods that I don't know what all they do, and we're gonna be in trouble. Yeah. Well, apparently one of my skills got reset back to level 0.
I guess we'll find out as we play.
Yeah, well, I can also go into skills and change it too. It looks like it was my farming skill. But there, oh, I hit the wrong thing. Yeah, you can tell that my mods are overlapping each other. Ha ha ha. Oh well. We'll fix that later. I don't need that mod. I was looking for a different mod. I did that mod. Oh, I figured out how to save anywhere mod though. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, make sure you shut the farm gates back when you go through.
Oops.
So the animals don't get out.
I forgot.
But I'm gonna go over to find, was it Emily and the community center? I need to visit. Emily, where are you?
Oh, I need to catch an albacore for Gus and
That's her house.
a sardine for Abigail.
Oh, it's a scene with Emily. Show
Oh.
you something? Oh no. What does she want to show me?
Oh, I think she's gonna dance for you.
Secret hobby I've been practicing for months. Sit
Oh my
back
gosh,
and relax.
she's totally gonna dance for you.
Yep. Michigan would be jealous. This is his wife. This is the one he's been romancing. Don't tell Michigan. Yep, she's dancing. You're right, you called it. She's got her little boombox there.
Just walking into somebody's bedroom and then being like, hey, I need to show you something.
Oh no! Now the scene totally changed. There's like bees dancing. It must be so good wine there, right? Some kind of juice.
It's the mushroom cave.
Yep. Now we got a little. I got my coffee. We're good. I'm drinking coffee at 7:56. This is not good.
Probably not, but I'm not judging.
I'll probably still sleep like a baby. I slept till 12 today.
Sometimes coffee makes me sleepy.
Yeah, it can help and it can hurt. Just depends. I think energy drinks don't work as well, but coffee can actually put you to sleep.
Energy drinks just make me sick. I get so shaky.
That's too much, yeah. That was amazing. That was embarrassing. Say nothing and do a slow clap.
I feel like you need to do the slow cat and see what happens.
Okay. Thank you. Phew, that was quite a workout. Haven't been this sweaty since I ordered the pepper platter at Abigail's graduation fiesta. Pepper platter. Oh god. Well, I better take a shower. Thanks for watching! Yeah, I'm actually here to give you an apricot, which is probably not gonna help what just happened.
I wonder if she'll
So,
say anything about it when you talk to her.
thanks for this looks delicious. No, she doesn't.
Mm.
I do have a journal update though. See. Oh, journal left now? Fresh fruit. Oh, I got money for it. Okay.
Oh, good. There's Abigail.
Oh, I forgot we were doing like community board things. Catch 10 largemouth bass.
I just got Abigail her sardine. Oh, is Kent back in this game?
I don't
From
know.
before?
Heading to the community center though. I'm gonna drop off this cabbage thingamajig to the bulletin board. Yeah, I think this was the last thing we needed. And then I think the community center's done.
Woo! A momentous occasion.
Yay! I don't well,
Oh, I
flick the
wonder if
tongue
I
of
can
yours
win on
chat if you're catching Pokemon. I don't have that extension. What? I don't have the ball. I don't have any more Pokeballs. I thought I bought like 20 the other day. There we go. Oh, it's gotta have a space.
Ooh, what's the gift that you get?
Uh, good question. Now it's ignoring me.
What's ignoring you? The game?
The chat Pokemon game. Tried to buy 10 Ultra Balls and it's like, it doesn't like me. I broke it. But yeah, let's see what it gives me for friendship. A seed maker. You have a seed maker.
Oh, fancy.
And like a time escaped and no one caught it. Of course. But yeah, I think we're done with the community center.
Woo!
Last bundle, Farewell Cat 2.0. Oh. Junimals. Bye. Don't leave me or cry. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. They're leaving us forever.
They're so
Bye,
cute.
Junimals. Spirits have returned to the spirit realm. Sorry, one day we will have the Junimo hunt, and you guys can help us on the farm. Okay,
Oh, that's
so
nice. Abigail is playing the flute while I fish in the lake.
nice.
Little,
So I also found a mod that makes my horse skinny, so I can get through those narrow paths that you normally can't get through.
oh.
It's called something like "Put Your Horse on a Diet" or something mod. Pony on it goes on a diet. I was like, what the heck is this mod? Why would is the horse like super skinny and grotesque looking or something? Use this mod, and then I read it. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. So it fits everywhere now. It makes it fit. It makes it fit, so I don't have to like not be able to squeeze through places. Right,
The real
Tank?
question is, can it go down the stairs?
Hey, they love it. Look at them go. Uh oh, what is Willie saying? What the hell is that?
Oh my word.
I was just thinking of you, miss. What is that eyed blob? Purple-eyed blob! I've never seen this thing.
I think
Looking.
it's a lot
Thank
of
you for
bait,
the
maybe?
follow. It's got 2 eyes. It might be a lot of bait. I don't know. I don't remember this ever.
There's bones sticking out of it.
This bug meat you found is perfect. Oh, it's bug meat. Why do I not remember this? Maybe because of the tint of the Halloween thing and the rain, it just looks creepy.
Creepy.
When I said fresh, I didn't expect it to still be wiggling me. I guess we brought in bug bait and didn't even know it.
Gross.
Not complaining, the fish love it. Yeah, that's quite the blob there. As a way of saying thanks, I wanted to teach you an old fisherman's secret.
Oh.
Poppy taught me this on a fishing trip many years ago. Learned how to craft quality bobber. Using that bobber will attract higher quality fish. That means more money in your pocket. Last, hee hee.
I love that Willie talks like a pirate.
Got one. I know, I should give him the pirate voice. But he was a ghost too, which is cool. Everybody's ghost-like. I'm just gonna collect things. Oh, dear. Are you dead? What are you? I don't know, but you won't talk to me.
What is
Pretty sure
happening?
they're dead. I'm pretty sure they're dead.
So funny.
They died. Yeah, they're
Just
supposed to
because
be
they're
like,
ghosts, or?
oh, they're supposed to be dead people. I don't remember. Hi, Mono2. Have a wonderful stream. I'm working again tonight. Thank you, Hollow. Good luck at work. Yep. Apparently, what's his name died.
Elliot?
Yeah. That looks like Elliot to me. Still look like Elliot to you.
Is.
And he's totally not a ghost. He's just dead.
Oh, that's so sad.
Elliot died. Rip. On the beach. The place he loved. Drink water, thank you. Got my
I
water
guess Elliot
prepared.
needed to drink water too.
He forgot to eat and care for himself. He was too busy writing and brushing his hair. Too busy writing and brushing his hair, and he forgot to eat. I don't know. Yeah, that's one. One dead body. I know there's more too, so we'll see who discovers the next one.
I wonder if he still shows up on the
Posture
circle.
check. I wonder if he's still got a living version of him walking around.
Oh, maybe. Oh, that's interesting. Well,
Yeah, I wonder if he's got a dead version and alive. Okay, run to work now. Okay. It's 10:40. I'm gonna drop the stuff that I got today in here. That needs to go to the Gunther. It's an artifact. Oh, batteries are out. I have to go inside the house. I wonder if the horse can go in the house now. Nope. Would have been fun.
Oh yeah, have a little sleepover.
Where is my wife? She's neglecting our child. Our child's in bed. Tossing and turning in his crib. He's a ghost.
Oh, right.
He is passed as well. He's just a little ghost bed, maybe rolling in this blanket in the bed here. There. Oh, maybe my wife has passed. Maybe she's out haunting me.
Maybe it was her on the beat.
Rain's my wife in this version, so I don't know. She's out at the neighbor's house playing D&D.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Actually, her friend's house, but I called it my neighbor's house. Because you know the game. Yeah. Let's see. Any messages? Yeah.
I'm about to barge into your house to look for peppers.
Dude, check my fridge. Oh, there's my child ghost hair. It's standing up now. Still crawling. Yeah, there's 2 fridges there. I think they have all kinds of them.
Oh man, no peppers.
Let's see.
It's the mayor's birthday, so trying to.
Oh, there might be some out. Did you check these chests everywhere?
Not all of them.
Probably could be the ones near the actual farm that might have peppers or something.
I'll take a look.
Because I think veggies would be down near the gardens and somewhere, maybe. Valentine has been talking about that great curiosity lately. Apparently, packages have been appearing in people's houses containing items they posted about years ago, and the community center posted, and the packages are all addressed from your farm. Thanks for going out of your way to do something like that. I sent packages to everyone? I don't remember that.
I think from the community center being.
Oh. Oh, clothing therapy. Please come to the mayor's house today to see what it's all about. Love, Emily. Oh my god. Clothing therapy from Emily in the mayor's house. I'm scared.
I would be too.
Okay, so we're going to check these batteries. I don't know if we need batteries for anything right now. We have a chest that we're putting these in. Don't see any there. There's nothing in this one, so I'm putting batteries in there.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Thanks.
The tulips are pretty, even though they're ghost colored right now.
Oh, those are cool looking though.
Okay, there's no
Grab
peppers
some
in
of
here.
those to give
Just
to Evelyn.
seeds. I accidentally picked up a tile from somewhere. The lightning must have
I
hit.
hate it when I do that.
But I don't see where the lightning hit it at.
Maybe it was over by the rods? Or the battery packs?
Oh, I heard it just now pick up. That's the weird
Oh.
part. Maybe it followed me. Maybe I ran so fast it followed me. I bet you're right.
Oh, that could be.
No? I don't know. I'll put it in here with the batteries, and if we're missing a piece later, we know where it's at. Ghost peppers? I wish the veggies were ghosts. Just the people and the butterflies. Even that butterfly is a ghost flying around. See what this chest has. This chest has nothing at the moment. Oh, I think there was a don't we have a whole house dedicated to produce and stuff? Whole building?
Oh, do we?
Oh, maybe? I don't remember.
Ooh, a secret note.
Oh. This place is dedicated to. Aha! There's peppers maybe in here. There's eggplants. Green beans.
I know what else the mayor likes. I like memorize one thing off their favorites list so that I can get them to like me faster.
And who is it?
All I know is that the mayor. It's his birthday.
Let's see. Player. I think I can click on the mirror and tell you.
Oh, gross. The secret note that I
Very
found
spicy
is telling
those.
me what to find in trash cans.
Nice. Oh, balloons with the community center. Fancy.
Oh.
Balloons aren't ghosts, but all the people are.
Except for Marty, it looks like Marty's normal on your screen.
Yes, Marty's normal for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, and everybody. Oh no, that's my screen. Never mind.
All the community center's ghost. Oh, except for what's his name? At the bottom is the wizard.
Curator.
Yeah, the curator. It's normal.
Oh, George looks especially creepy.
Well, go back. Fetch the bat. Everyone is pleased? Yeah, you all died in the process, so I'm sorry.
I mean, you had to give a sacrifice to the Juminos, I guess.
We didn't know the building community center was going to turn everybody into a ghost. Stardew Hero Trophy. Yay! Grumble, grumble, grumble. Uh-oh. Who's that? We know who that is. Morris. Where have all my customers gone?
Well, they died.
This is like the best part. Oh, he's not a ghost. He is in this picture. All my customers are here? He's not a ghost in this scene, but he
is on the character thing.
Yeah, have you seen this part?
I'm watching it with you.
Let's settle this the old-fashioned way.
Oh. Pierre's gonna start throwing fists.
This means nothing. I'll just run a 75% off sale. No, not this time, Morris. Pierre's getting angry. I think it's time we settle this once and for all. Oh, and how do you propose we do that? Primitive. If you're too scared to fight me, then bring one of your coworkers. We're all Joja employees. Such cowards. Insult me all you like, but don't you dare slander the good name of Joja. Now they're gonna fight. Ghost against a real person. Good stuff. All the townspeople are enjoying this. You're weaker than your fresh produce selection.
What a bird.
Right? The way you throw punches is just like Joja.
Oh, Pierre's got
quantity
get
over
better
quality.
at shit talking.
This
is amazing. George is like eating this up.
Your only ghost fire.
Oh!
And he puts on shades. You see that? Cool.
Oh my god! I've never seen that. I must have always chosen the other option.
Worse than his JoJo Marconi's were never heard from again. Da, 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 da. Look at my trophy. Woohoo!
So fancy.
So cool.
Oh, hello.
Probably too late. Oh yeah, she's done working. Oh, but she still wants to talk to me. Clean dust off my saw. Have you ever made anything out of wood, Cat? Yes. Great, then this blueprint should be a piece of cake for you. I think we've become good enough friends that I can trust you with my carpentry secrets. Oh boy. Here, let me show you the blueprints.
At least she's not dancing for you.
Right? Flute block and drum block. You can use these to get creative on your farm. It feels good to be able to decorate your house with things you've made yourself. Ta-da! Okay, I want to talk to you. Oh no! Let's see. Okay, I want to. Let's see. I think I hit the button just in time. Let's see. It tells you the name after.
Oh, that's helpful.
So you can go and click on it, and then it'll tell you. I feel like we have an extra horse stable now, so I want to get rid of the extra horse stable. What's that? Oh, the slime hutch. We already have that.
Crowley, I'm trying to fish.
Tractor garage. Are all the horse stables now tractor garages?
I don't know. We have a tractor?
Yeah. That's a silo. Maybe they're tractor garages? Oh, it didn't let me. And she's gone now. Dang it! Oh well. We'll get the horse stable tomorrow. Oh, what's the... Not enough room to summon horse? There we go. Thank you, horse. Why does my horse not have a hat?
We gotta go visit the mice.
I know. Bio, let's finish the old-fashioned way. Time to duel? Yes, sorry, Bio. I'm doing terrible at paying attention. Yes, duel. Fight.
Can you imagine if they just like whipped out swords?
You know, I feel like that's my horse anyway. Or maybe this, yeah, because all the other houses have horses. I just need to move over the stable. Oh, my cat's a black cat ghost.
Aww.
See, it's a black cat, but you can't tell because it's a ghost form. Did it, there you
Black
go.
cat ghost.
Alright, let's see if I can empty this chest and move it. Okay, okay. Stop hitting me. Bat. Okay. And then... Not gonna have enough room for everything.
Man, I'm not gonna catch enough largemouth bass in time.
Gotta get it back. Do I need to change the time?
I mean, you can if you want, but it's not that big a deal. It's a aquatic overpopulation quest thing, so if I don't get them
How?
once, it's not the end of the world.
So how close were you?
I have 6, I think.
Oh, so you were super close to getting it then.
Yeah, I have 6.
Is it like
I still
the
have...
time's up today?
Yeah,
Or
it's the
tomorrow?
final day.
I don't know what happened.
They're just not biting.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, I love that it says 12 p.m., but it still looks like night.
Kimono! Mommy Easy. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you? Snappy! Hello, you're amazing. Thank you, Snappy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I emptied that stuff, and I'm going to take this. Wrong tool. And boop. There we go. Okay. I want to move this building. You see nothing. I am well. How have you been? I'm good. I'm good. How are you? I am doing great. I am just playing some Stardew on my ghost farm and neglecting my farm animals because that's what I do. Apparently. Just look. Oh, it's a little baby chickie. What color is it? Blue. It is. Blue looks happy. It doesn't tell me what kind though. Looks like a black boiled chicken. Let's go in here though. Oh, I accidentally closed their barn. Now they can't get in or out. Why is this dude here during the day? What have I done? Why are there ghosts?
It's like night over at the lake.
Yeah, there's bad guys here in the day and the animals are out.
Oh no! Are they attacking the animals?
No, of course not. They just want to attack me. Let's see. Hurry up and hatch doohickeys. Is this one been need upgraded still? Is that why this one doesn't? No, it's got something hatching too. Okay, and then yes, all of these and stuff.
Ugh, I keep catching bullheads.
Not the thing you want. Is there a certain time of day they spawn, I wonder? Like,
well, I've been catching a few, but they're just, I don't know, not as popular as the chubs.
alright, I'm putting my trophy in my bedroom. Or maybe I should put it in the house on display somewhere. Right here works. My trophy for completing the community center.
Just
there we go.
The stairs.
Yeah. It's right next to the fridge. The important things. Food and more food. If I remember right, this is all like cooked food on this side. Wild bait too. Spicy eel.
Oh, that's one of Abigail's favorites, I think.
Ah, well, I put it in there. It's in the fridge if you need it. Redeem drink water, posture check, stretch break. Oh my gosh, redeem all the things. Thank you. How are you guys in chat? I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to my spooky house and my spooky farm and my spooky everything. Even my baby is a ghost. Oh. Oh, aquatic overpopulation has been fulfilled. I was like, what is that noise? And I just got money.
That's me.
Yay! You did it.
Turn the time back to normal if you want.
Okay, then there's my ghost child. Yeah, I'll turn it back to normal after I run and do this mandatory stretch break that I've been called to have. So I'll take this cup to the kitchen and come right back. Stretch break! Thank you for the mandatory stretch break. Pikachu has better circulation and health because of you. Kimono Yeah. Okay, now I'll turn off the thing. Time. Unfreeze. A wild GP. Oh, I still don't have Ultra Balls. I don't even know what the heck is with that. Hmm.
Oh, do I need to water my parsnip?
I wish I could let other players use the tractor mod. There's tons of parsnips right here if you need some.
I have to cultivate my own parsnip to be able to, like...
Oh. For it to count.
Yeah. Do we need to pick all these vegetables and stuff, or will the mods handle it? Like all the tulips.
The mods won't pick them. We'll have to pick them before the end of the season, but I'm not worried about it since there's only 2 of us, so like...
Okay. Yeah,
you can totally just let them...
If...
Yeah, and the community center's done, so... they can just sit there and marinate.
Why can't I get back on my horse? I think my horse is sleeping.
Horse, move! I used my sword on you!
Oh no!
Your game crashed!
I got kicked out.
That's why your horse wouldn't move. Just try to rejoin. It looks like it just like lagged out or something. Maybe it's because you were stuck on nighttime.
Maybe, but if my largemouth bass... Oh! Okay, no, okay. Whew. I thought that, my largemouth bass weren't gonna count anymore.
No. Yeah, they do. I did get a new command to save anywhere in case the game does lock up or do something weird. I could hit a key command and save the game, which is kind of cool. Only problem is I did it to test it, thinking maybe you'd say, "Are you sure you want to save? Yes or no?" And no, it did. Just completely saved the game and ended the day, and I lost a whole day. And I was like,
"Oh no!"
I didn't tell you to get tomatoes. I said to get fruit. Oh no, they're arguing.
Oh, that's awkward.
I don't understand. Tomatoes are fruits.
I mean, he's not wrong.
When a normal person says they want fruit, they never mean tomatoes. It doesn't matter what the scientific classification is. Oh, why do I feel like I'm breaking up this couple because they're arguing
about tomatoes?
Yeah. How would you classify a tomato? Vegetable. Sorry.
I mean, out of the 2 of them, Jody is superior because she gives us shit and Demetrius doesn't do anything.
Right? I figured a farmer would know the correct answer. I just want you to understand my point of view. Hi, Shane. Welcome, Shane. I mean, we know the answer, but we know how we prefer to classify it as well. It's hard for me to know exactly what assumptions I should make when you tell me something. Oh my god, yes. But I'll try to get it better at it. Oh god, they made up. Thanks for your help, Kat. I don't know that I was any help with that situation.
Oh, hey, I see Elliot in the bar.
What?
I guess he didn't die on the beach.
Oh, wow. Maybe he was just passed out that day. I don't know. He sure looked kind of pale to me. Okay, so I can't do what I came here for because they're not here. Alright, we'll go see Gunther. Gunther.
Dang. I just want
My
to talk
skinny
to
horse
Shane
is
in
amazing.
game, not in the chat. But I want to talk to Shane in game, and he goes, you again? How many times do I have to tell you to leave me alone?
Oh my gosh! Shane, why are you doing that to Lemon?
Come on, Shane.
Why are you being so rude to Lemon? What? Don't be rude to Lemon. Just kidding. In the game. You're being rude to Lemon in the game. Not you.
There's a character named Shane.
Yeah. He's fully aware of Shane because he'll go, who called my name? And he'll come in and be like, no, not you. The game, Shane. Okay, so we do it in the greenhouse.
Oh, we do have peppers in the greenhouse.
I didn't check the greenhouse. Good call. I want to go see if Elliot's dead on the beach at the same time he's in the bar. I'm just curious.
Oh,
yeah!
I don't have a Skype.
He's dead on the beach still. And he's at the bar. Oh, well, he's a ghost, so this is his actual body. So he could be present at the bar.
Alright, let me go see the mayor before we,
oh, here's all the fishing stuff. Means I can throw in all this random fishing things. And is there a recycler out here? No, that's recycler. But I can throw stuff in here that I don't want. I forgot we have these to do that.
Oh no.
It's so gross looking. So he's fishing. Hey, it's my skipper. Yeah. Oh, I'm his skipper now? You earned an achievement. An achievement, Rose.
Oh, clicks, because I gave the mayor a birthday present.
Oh, why am I finding the mayor of Barney? Barney, we can't. If word got out, it could undermine my position of authority in the town. Why does it matter if they're dating? Neither one of them are married, right? They're both single.
Yeah, it sounds to me like mayor just wants excuse to
not make it official.
Yeah. Get your stuff together, Lewis.
You understand, don't you? She's not happy. You care too much about your job, Lewis. there are other things to life, you know? I guess everyone in this version of the game is dead, yes. They're all dead. They're all ghosts. A tragic accident
Except for
happened.
Ellie, who is both alive and dead at the same time.
But yes, I understand. I guess we'll have to keep us a secret. Busted. Yeah! I already know about you two. You made me go get your stinking shorts. It's obviously I know. You heard everything, didn't you? Yes, but I'll keep it a secret. What happens if it's a yes? I'm going to tell everyone.
Oh my god, please just see what happens.
I'm going to tell everyone. Stop. I can't believe you would do that. He's crying. I heard the mayor cry. Oh, God.
Oh my god, on his birthday, too!
Oh, that's terrible. You're terrible. Why were you hiding there anyway? Run away.
That's so funny.
I mean, I'm not telling anybody. They all know anyway. Welcome back to the game. It says you joined.
Thanks. Yeah, it kicked me out again.
Oh! I wonder why it keeps doing that.
I don't know.
Connection issues? Maybe.
I mean, it's like there's no freezing or anything happening, so I don't know.
She caught me digging in the trash.
Oh, awkward. After you
Oh!
got her.
What is that? Is that Jazz's bow with blood all over it or something?
Oh god. That's
It looks like the cows ate her? Did she get eaten by the cows?
Marnie don't care at all though. She's just walking by.
Oh, you think that's intense? Look down here. Is that Robin's head?
Leah.
Or Leah's head? Spitting?
What in the world?
On a stick?
That is so funny.
Yeah. Leah's head and Jazz's bow covered in blood. Yep. Now I'm gonna have to explore parts of the farm just to see what else we can find. But oh no, it's bedtime. Here, I'm gonna try the save thing. I'm gonna try the save thing and see what happens. See, look, I saved anywhere. I didn't have to go to bed.
Hold on, real quick. I gotta
Okay.
mute myself real quick.
Woo! I cheated. Oh, it still counted as I died. It still counted as I died, even though I could save anywhere. I mean, passed out. Passed out, yeah. Oh, jeez.
My screen went black, so I'm not sure what's happening.
Oh, it says it's waiting on you.
Yeah, I'd go to bed if I could, but I literally have nothing.
It's probably because I hit that special button to see what would happen. Let's see.
Yeah, no, it's like just crashing.
I broke it.
I don't think it's you, I think it's me. I'm gonna try exiting out of the game again.
Okay, then let's see if it oh yeah, it immediately released. That's so weird. I still think I triggered it that time. I felt like hitting that magic button, the game didn't know what to do. Because we weren't in bed.
It's bedtime!
Some items were placed and lost and found. What did I lose? I don't even know.
Oops. Wrong thing.
It won't let me throw that away. Okay, so I'm gonna put this stuff in a trunk somewhere. I don't know. I'm gonna find somebody's trunk. Oh, jeez. Jody, puff. Hi, cat. Pant. She's puffing and panting at my door.
Oh,
Jody. Oh no. Oh. That was quite a workout, walking all the way up here. Well, anyway, I came by to ask if you wanted to have some dinner with me tonight. Or dinner with us tonight. Oh. You don't have to, but if you decide to come, could you please bring a largemouth bass with you? What is with these people and these bass? That's
sorry,
right.
I sold all the bass.
One of those big slimy fish from the lake. I need one for the casserole I'm making. Ew, a largemouth bass casserole? That sounds gross. I don't think I want a fish casserole. Okay, well,
You don't want
it'll
fish casserole?
it'll be at our house at around 7 p.m. tonight. Don't forget the largemouth bass. I don't know about fish casserole. I guess maybe that's like tuna helper or something. That I can see.
Sound good.
And
But it's not tuna because it's largemouth bass.
I know.
Everybody
That's why it sounds gross.
Largemouth bass casserole.
Message I've been waiting on.
Hey!
Right?
Alright, I'll start
Give you this
gathering
recipe.
hardwood.
Lay around. Try not to burn it, George. New recipe from eel. Catch your Pokemon! First place in cooking competition. I hope you like it. Thanks for being a friend, Jody. Dang, she got me fried calamari recipe too? What's with all the recipes? Take care, Clint. Hot bean.
Of the community center.
Blueberry tart. Oh. Cran sauce. Rhubarb pie. Holy cow, I broke the system. Pierre's General Store is now open 7 days a week.
Heyo.
Reference for a science magazine that you might find interesting. Farm computer. Ooh, make a computer. Clinic last night, you passed out. I'll build you 100G to cover your medical expenses. Ah, no biggie, thank you. Yeah, I know I passed out. I'm gonna come over here and drop this thing off in here, because I don't need that. Oh, and I have extra tools to drop somewhere.
Oh, will you give me a scythe? And drop it in my trunk.
I don't. Oh. Weird. There's a scythe. And do you have a horse whistle? Yes.
I do have a horse whistle.
Do you need any of this other stuff? Probably not. Let me look and put it in the trunk above you. Oh, there is no trunk here. Oh.
Oh, there's not? Oh. I thought there was one in between the bear and the pot.
I mean, you have one, yeah, but the house above you doesn't have one. That's what I was finding out for. It's that I thought the house above you had one as well. Let's see. House above you was about to have one for all the extra things I can throw in it for that person whenever they join. They get these things. And
George needs an eel to dry for next winter. That sounds lovely.
Oh. So I need a packs, right?
Yeah,
Or seven.
I sold all of them though.
It's okay.
Oh right.
It's okay. I'm
Think
just
we can get
curious.
100 potatoes by the end of the season?
Yes. I can make sure you have 100 potatoes by the end of the season. Are we growing any potatoes?
I don't know. I don't know if we have space to grow potatoes.
I'm just curious if we're already growing them. If not, we can get them. But yeah. I want to go see what's going on in the back of the shop before I have to go to my date at 7, apparently. I can remember where Jody's house is.
Next to Emily and Haley's.
Okay. Okay, so we said that the shop door in the back's unlocked. Okay, there's the boat. Doesn't look like it would float. Sad sight, isn't she? She was me father's boat, served him well for over 50 years, but now she can barely stay afloat. I'd repair her myself, but I don't have the right materials, miss. 20 pieces of hardwood to patch the hole would be a good start. But we'll also need to get the ticket machine back up and the iridium anchor repaired. If I could get me hands on the right materials and repair the old girl, well, then I could take you to the Fern Islands. Volcanic island full of strange parrots, they say. I'd like to help. I thought you would, miss. I'll leave this door unlocked for you so you can come drop off materials whenever you like. Woohoo! Now we just gotta drop materials off. I wonder what we have. Oh, so you drop them off to each machine. So this one takes 5 battery packs, which we definitely have in town. And then the other was 200 pieces of wood. And then how many iridiums? It's a ghost crab. 5 pieces of iridium bars. Okay, I'll go look for 5 iridium bars, wood, and see if we have all that stuff in town or not. Hmm? What? Did you space out? Ta-da! I know we have batteries because I collected those earlier. We have 8 of those. Now, iridium bars are going to be in a specific location, but I can't remember where. Oh, did it say 5 iridium bars? Because that's exactly how many we have. And then hardwood's going to be the fun one to find. 200 pieces of hardwood. Sounds like it's time for the tractor. So if I take the tractor down to the forest, and I go get the hardwood I need. If I can fit through here. And then equip my axe. Oop. There's stuff in my way. You know how long it would take to get 200 pieces of hardwood? really long time.
Way too long.
Considering you could only get like...
Whatever 200 divided by 12 is.
Yeah, I got 12 in this forest.
And that's the only place to get them, which is really annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've already cleared them from your farm, so you're not going to get them on your farm.
I'm so curious if I go Jody's while you're there, if I'll like see you guys having your cutscene.
That's a good question. Oh, that's right, I gotta go to Jody's. Okay, might as well go there now. With my tractor. Oh, are you here?
Thinks my tractor sexy. Me?
Are you here yet?
Not yet. I'm on
Okay.
my way there.
Oh, I see you.
I was trying to deliver a pizza
Okay.
to Sam.
I'll let you go in first, in case it...
Okay. Oh, I have a cutscene, so
Oh,
I guess,
do you got Kent? I
go
got
in.
Kent.
I have a cutscene with Sam.
Oh,
He's
I have one with
practicing his guitar.
Kent and Jody showing up. I'm so glad you came, Kat. And you brought the fish. Wonderful. Oh, I guess it was Kent saying hi and Jody, too. Sam, could you come in here and help clean this fish? Sam can't help you right now, Rose. He's gonna go clean this fish.
No, he's playing guitar for me. Sorry.
He's cleaning the fish for me and playing a guitar for you. He's multi-talented.
I was gonna say, that's some talent right there.
Wow, it looks wonderful and it smells so fresh. Oh god, thank you so much for doing this. Kent caught a fish too, but he eats about a whole fish to himself. Hee hee. He just went hee hee.
Oh,
Crispy bass was delicious. The breading was to die for. I always feel like part of the family now. Kitty! Okay. I guess you're still inside doing your scene. And the door's locked and I can't come in. So
Oh, I wonder if I leave if it'll open the door for you.
no, it's 9 o'clock and I can't enter the house. It's 9 o'clock.
I'm playing on my keyboard.
Thank you for the follow! Thank you, thank you, thank you! I think it says Ren. Welcome, welcome, welcome! I'm gonna head home on my tractor and cry about 200 pieces of hardwood. I'm gonna cry about it and see what happens. See if my, wish upon a star or something like that. See what happens in the morning. See if hardwood and potatoes magically appear.
I feel like if we wish hard enough.
Yep. Baby chick hatched. Which one hatched? Call it potato.
You're gonna call the chick potato?
Yeah. It could be a dino. I don't even know. Potato. Okay, which one did it? Oh, there's the chick. Okay. So now we're gonna take and I want to put a dino egg in the thing. There, put a dino egg in the thing. No more blue chickens though. Will they hatch more blue chickens, or do I just have to go get more blue chickens? Really? No. There's ducks in this one. Some rabbits. I like the farm is a mess. Maybe I should pick up a couple of these mushrooms. These truffles. I think I have to take them inside. so that they can go into the truffle machine.
Oh, where is the truffle machine?
I think it's with the pigs.
Okay.
See?
Oh, that's my lone parsnip, just letting you know.
Okay, I'll put it in there. Your lone what?
My lone parsnip that I'm cultivating.
Oh, is it in here? Oh, right there on the ground? Get off me! Creatures! I'm gonna go to bed. Before I pass out this time. I don't know, can I sleep in the child's bed?
Oh, yeah. Probably.
I'm just curious. Can you sleep in the toddler bed? Nope. It won't let me sleep in the toddler bed. I'm trying. It won't let me go to sleep in the toddler bed. Dang. My childhood dreams ruined. I wanted to be a toddler.
Uh-oh. Okay, good.
Foraging level 7. A wild grunt appeared. Go catch. Go catch the wild
I
kurgans.
can't see.
Okay, so I'm outside and I'm wishing. I don't know what
Oh, I just
happened.
got the notice about unlocking the back room of the shop, too.
Did you? Nice. Okay, oops. Magic Fairy visited last night. Don't check your supplies too good.
Okay.
Let's see.
I just got 1,500 recipes.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Just 'cause I don't know what to do with that stuff. And we'll take this horse for a ride. Yay! I caught the Pokemon! Caught the Kurga. Let's go though. Get you. My head was on sideways.
I can't see.
Kitty! Kitty is jealous. Your hands are doing things other than petting.
It's so funny, my parents are always like, oh my gosh, he's like coming to say hi to us and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's because Mono had the magical gift that finally made him unafraid of strangers.
Really? So since then he comes to your parents too now?
Yeah. He like doesn't
Wow.
hide from people anymore.
I don't know what I did.
I don't know.
I got you hooked on anime and I cured your cat, so it must be magical. I don't know. I don't... Oh, let's see.
Yeah, a whole new place to see.
Yeah? Now it's gonna be hooked on watching Stardew Valley.
Well, that I've already been hooked on.
No, I meant the cat's gonna get hooked on watching Stardew Valley.
Oh. Oh, he loves it already. He likes to watch the characters zoom around.
Oh, watch this not be the right amount. Oh, it is. Cool.
Ooh, are we going to the island?
It will be repaired overnight. So, tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I guess I gotta go have the cutscene so that I'm ready.
Tomorrow it'll be ready. And then, so we're not excessively overloading the system. That hardwood just got thrown in the trash that I didn't use. So I don't like to sell it because then it just makes the numbers calculate like way too much. You know, I kind of trash what I don't use. That's not actually picked off the farm. You know. Did you donate your potatoes?
I did.
Yay! Should 100 potatoes. Oh, so it just hasn't ended yet, I guess.
Yeah, no, it has to go overnight.
Where is my? Oh, they both are going overnight. Interesting. Here, horsey. My horse needs a hat.
Let me know if you can hear anything like in the background.
Okay. I can't, but
Okay, good.
if it changes, I'll let you know.
Oh, Alex just told me that I'm too pale and I need to spend some time in the sun. And then he asked me if I want to hang out with him at the beach in a bikini.
Oh!
He just told me that I'm too pale and need to get tan.
Uh-huh.
Valley.
Yeah, I don't believe him. I think he's trying to accomplish other goals. Okay. Robin, where are you? Is Robin never at her house? Like,
I think it's yoga day at Piers. I feel like there's a day where Marnie and Robin are both closed because they like go do exercise together. The fact that I know this is a little sad.
It's like 2 days. I don't remember what days people aren't there. But good thing Pierre's open every day now. But
Right?
the other two. The, Thank you for the 100 biddies, Shane. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, we're gonna like explore here. I wonder if the hardwood comes back. Like every day. It does come back every day. So you could farm it every day, but still, that would take forever, so 12 pieces a day. So yeah. Do I need to visit the wizard? Oh! Jeez, no. We came at a bad time to visit the wizard. Found none of the other bodies. See, since they're all ghosts, their bodies are all somewhere dead.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. So their bodies are just strewn about. Okay.
Yeah, because they've all become ghosts. They've all died. Yeah. So yeah. Another victim. I just don't know what happened. So yeah, if you look around, you'll slowly find all their bodies everywhere, or I will. But
yeah, I've got to look on your screen to see the ghost version.
So is that Pierre or Linus?
Where?
Dead on the beach.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, kind of look. I thought that was. Isn't that Elliot?
No, Elliot's on the other one. This one has short hair.
Oh no, I think that's Pierre. Yeah, I think that's Pierre.
Yeah, I think that's Pierre. The mouse hat place is not a ghost.
Oh, that's good. That'd be sad if the mice were dead.
There's a Santa hat. It's a little early. Straw hat, polka dot bow, cat do we want?
Ooh, I
I
got
don't
a
know.
secret note. Let's
What?
say.
What the polka dot bow for my horse? Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I forgot. Can't the cat wear bows and stuff? Mono! Hi, water! Thank you for the last water. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I need to buy my cat a bow or something. Hmm.
Your black ghost cat.
Yeah, I could put mouse ears on it. That'd be funny. What color hat does my mouse want? I mean, my cat want my mouse? Let's give the cat a tiara. Let's see what that does.
I feel like that's fitting for a cat.
Oh no, I accidentally took the bow off my horse. I did not mean to do that. Okay. No, stop. I just want to ride the horse. I don't want to take the bow off. What is in my inventory? A little tropical clip. It's shaped like a little palm tree. You can't even see that thing. Okay, so now I just want to ride my horse. How do I freaking get on my horse without taking off the clip? There we go. Drink water, thank you, water. I hope you're doing awesome, water. Welcome to the stream. Oh, there's wild doohickeys. Oh, I need a scythe. I gave away my scythe.
Oh, I thought you had another one. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay. I don't know how you didn't have a scythe anyway, so.
Yeah, it didn't come with it.
Let's see.
I'll,
But now I have one, so anyway.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
I was gonna go put it in your chest.
No, I got me a golden scythe now, too. Whoa! What happened? What did I hit? I hit speed. Something. Oh no! Like super speed.
Oh God.
I did not mean to do that. I hit the wrong button somewhere.
Whoops.
Oh no, just got a new show, Lim. How have you been? I'm good. Oh, this is not that one. This is that other mod where there's no boundaries. I don't know how I turned it on, but there's no boundaries. I can go. I don't know. I just want to go to my bed and I don't know how to turn it off. There we go. I hit something. There. It's like,
I'll go to
yes.
bed soon. I'm trying to find a cave carrot.
Oh yeah, well it's not quite bedtime yet. But okay, I'm gonna hop out and see if I can figure out what I hit to turn on this. No, no boundaries mod. I can't remember.
Hey, cave carrot.
Is it that?
I don't
No.
want it to be overrun with monsters.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I hit something. And I cannot function with this still on. Hi, I'm Moto. Just got a new show. I'm glad you're doing well, though. I'm glad. Alright, I'm going next to mods. I'm gonna look at my mods real quick and see which one I turned on. I think it's called New Boundaries. And I gotta figure out how to turn it off. This is where could I go into my... I don't remember what it's called in order to fix it. That's the problem with mods. I just tried a bunch of new things today. That's the problem.
Wow.
Oh, I think that's it. Mm. I know I didn't hit a F11 by accident. Jeez. Yeah, no, that's not it.
I don't know what my lights are doing. Do you see this?
Hmm?
The
Oh,
camera is like, but it's not
flashing.
flashing in here.
That's weird.
Yeah. That's wild. If it gets too strobe-like, let me know.
Alright, let's see. Hmm. I don't know how to turn this off, but I'll sleep. Because the way it told me to turn it on and off is not working.
Oh no.
Yeah. Nibble. Snubble escaped. Hmm. Probably just need to turn this mod off, but I don't know.
Head to the beach.
Oh, I think I did it. I did it. It's X. Okay.
Yay!
Now I know what key it is, even though it lied to me. Yes. Lily has good news. What else do we have? We got a wooden box. Lewis. For hard work, yeah, because you don't want me to tell all your secrets.
That like you sneak through people's trash.
Yep. Okay, where's my cat? I had this tear of my cat. Cat in my room? No. Good night, dinner time. Okay, good luck with dinner. Okay, we'll find the cat when we come back. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. And I'll probably unload some extra stuff into the thing at the beach to make sure I have plenty of room to carry things.
Oh, good call. Yeah, no, I didn't think about that.
Because I'm sure there'll be new stuff. Okay. Can we take our horses? I bet if we use a horse whistle on the other island, we'll have horses. I think we could use the whistle there. How much would I bet? Oh, let's see.
Here we go.
Oh.
Oh, I left my whistle in my trunk.
No! So, do we do a ticket thing? Yes. It's good as new. So we bought all the parts, and then we still have to buy a ticket too.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
cute. We fixed your ship with rare hardwood,
For
200
free.
pieces. Yeah, we had to still pay. Oh, look the clouds and the birds. So cute. Nice. The sailboat. There's a volcano. Yeah, let's go to the only island that has a volcano. Why the heck did we pick this one?
Right.
I hear birds. Is that like the lifty thing? I think if you get birds, it is. There's worms. There's a turtle. Hi. Big turtle in the way. Oh, ghost boy in the tree. Hi.
Boy. Oh, he ran away.
Oh, crabs. Okay.
I
So,
guess turtle is the way to go, unless this is a.
there you go. Here's a path.
Oh.
Remember, wait, we gotta
Little.
collect nuts for Monkey Boy.
Oh, right.
Golden walnut. Oh, there's the parrots. Can we go in this door? Oh, there he is.
I tried, but.
Oh, we gotta get the rock. Give, yes. Okay, we had to give the nuts to the
Oh.
bird. That a parrot or walnut. Boy looks at you with curious eyes.
Oh, he chirps.
Mm-hmm. He seems to have a close bond with the parrots. But he's too shy to approach you right now. Perhaps making friends with the parrots could earn his trust. Okay, so I guess we gotta keep finding walnuts and feeding birds or
Yeah.
something.
Feels very Tarzan coded.
I forget how all this works. Is that fiddler fern stuff?
I
Yeah,
don't know
it
either.
is. I've done it, but it's been a long time ago. It's one of the least areas I've spent time in. I just know I'm pretty sure you have to do all this to get like the ostrich stuff eventually.
Oh.
Ooh, follow the fire. It's a little fire blurb. Okay. Oh, what do these do? Anything? No.
Oh, what is
Repair
this?
plants. It's oh, the ginger?
Oh, ginger.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Now we have ginger root. And I'm guessing that needs to be fixed. Fix it later.
Yeah. Where'd our fire friend go?
I don't know. Did he
Oh,
go
there
in
he
here?
is.
Oh. Ooh!
Oh, here, if you follow me.
Hi, Mama! Did you make it
Oh,
home?
wait. Oh, no, you can't reach
Can't
him.
reach him. Hello! Hiya, hiya, hiya! Hi, Mama.
Oh, hi, Momo.
We're doing stardew things. Wait. Dark. I can't see anything and I'm stuck.
Oh, are you stuck too? I'm loading.
Maybe that's what it is. We'll give it a second.
No,
Hello!
I really hope it doesn't crash.
How was your day, Momo? I hope you had an awesome time. I hope everything went great. Yeah, party was fun though. Glad to be home too. How's things here? It's good, it's good. We're exploring the, is it Fern Island it's called? I believe. Oh, I can hear. There you are, Lemon. I was gonna say I can't hear you, but then I can't hear you. Explore, yes.
What is going on today?
I don't know, but I'm stuck. Why am I stuck in Fern Island? Getting bored, maybe. Pee.
Oh, we're stuck on a desert island. It feels very like that hypothetical question everybody always asks.
Desert, Ginger Island. What part of the island are we on? Just go back to.
I just
I
tried
don't
to
know.
enter the mine and it's just still loading.
I went to the.
There's not a mine on the island, but.
Oh, that's the wrong part. I went to the wrong part. I don't know. See.
Like in the cave, wherever that is.
Look.
Well, I'm not in it. I'm just loading to try and get in it.
Ginger Island, field office, forge, Leah's house, volcano dwarf shop. Where's the field office? Oh, okay, that's close enough. The field office, close enough to where we were. And now I'm stuck. I can't get out of this cave once I go in. That's so weird. Maybe we weren't supposed to go in there yet.
Well, that's where that old fire guy was leading us.
I know.
Maybe it's just looking weird because it's still loading for me.
Maybe.
I'm stuck, so like I can't get out of it.
Lurky lurk. Thank you for the lurk, Nick Duffy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And do this. So there's things and stuff everywhere. And there's like a ghost squirrel rat thing. Ghost squirrel. I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know either. I'm gonna try and rejoin.
Oh, is it like? Maybe I need to bring a light into the cave.
I don't think you do though.
Because it's getting me stuck in the cave every time. So if you go into it, it's gonna get you stuck too.
Okay.
Do. So I'm just gonna jump over to the door thing and see if that unlocks stuff or something. So you can buy stuff. Cinder clown shoes. Oh god, that's scary. Orb totem recipes, super meal, mega bombs, cherry bombs. Buy a couple mega bombs. Why not? Let's see what happens. Okay, so now that I'm in here, how do I leave? Don't. Maybe you can't leave here once you get in there either. Legs, be back in a bit. Probably gonna dance in the rain. Oh, dance in the rain sounds lovely. Yeah, it says I'm on like floor 5 of the cave or something. I don't even know. And here's the porch. So if I wanted to journal, did not mean to hit that. Prismatic shard. Okay. More nuts. So I think we're back to, we still gotta befriend the parrots or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something weird about the dark room areas that we don't have something we need to actually be in them yet. Like, because they're like, I can't see.
When it brought me back to the game, it brought me back to the farm. So
Oh.
I'm probably gonna not go back to the island for today because it's already 7:30 in the.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this area anyway. Doesn't make sense. Tiger slime! Run! Can't pick the ginger? How did you pick the ginger? The shovel?
With a hoe. The hoe.
Iridium hoe. Maybe it's not ready yet. Oh, there it goes. Wild clamper. Clamperl. There's a nut. I'm just gonna collect the nuts while I'm here. Maybe that's the key to make the parents. Find the door.
Yeah, I think that's
Only
how
the
the
greatest
parents
walnut
find the
hunters
game.
may enter here. Your current status is 2 of 100. You gonna get 100 walnuts to go through that door?
Yeah. I don't know where to find them all. That's why I stopped going to the island on the last one that I did. Cause like I could see them, but I couldn't get them. I don't know.
Who is that?
Oh, I put them at the beach. That's where they are.
Visitor. Come closer, child. Oh, God.
Oh, that's not creepy.
Haven't had a visitor in many moons. I almost forgot what other people looked like. Well, I suppose now that you're here, I may as well ask a favor. Come. Have you seen that wrecked ship on the South Shore? Husband was the captain. I. Pirate was he. He set sail one day, never to return. It took me 3 years sailing the high seas to find his remains. Oh, jeez. Sigh. I've been here ever since, dear. Guarding his bones. Ah! It's creepy. My child, if I could only find a keepsake of his, it would bring me such peace. Wait here. Here, take this. It's an old photograph that washed up on
That is
shore.
creepy.
It's all I have to offer, but I think it will help you find what I seek. War memento. Your journal entry. Pirate's wife.
Oh.
Find a keepsake that belonged to Birdie's husband. Interesting. Oh, I need to get home though. But I don't know if you can sleep on the island, do you? What is that?
I don't think you can.
What are those things? Digging in the ground. I don't even know. Or
Oh, I can't see
farm.
them.
Like little diglets popping out of the sand. Pokemon diglets. I don't know how to describe them. They look like green diglets. Okay, it's bad.
Oh, they're little things that are in the mines, like in the sand.
Mm. What? The shop door got blown up at JoJo Mart? Terminated? Did you see that? But
I did.
does that mean we can go inside?
I think so.
Interesting. Oh, that's whose horse that is. That's my horse right there. Duh. Like, where's my actual horse? Mine has the one with the green bow, and
Whose
it's over
horse are you
here.
even using?
Whatever one I grab in the moment. I don't know. Couple different ones.
Communal horse.
Mm-hmm. I want to go see what's going on in this JoJo Mart with this door thing. Oh, it's a Junimo. What the heck? Abandoned JoJo Mart. The missing bundle.
Oh.
Okay. Dinosaur mayonnaise. Void salmon. Void salmon?
It.
Caviar. Ancient fruit and wine. I haven't done this before. I don't know. Maybe the Junimos rebuilt JoJo Mart or something?
Maybe.
Interesting. I kind of want to know.
Me too.
Like,
Do we have dino mail already on the farm? I think we have most of that on
I
the farm.
probably do. But I don't know how to get a void salmon. Never seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Ancient fruit we could go.
Would it be
Caviar, I'm
like,
sure we got on the farm too, but that's a purple caviar.
I wonder if we can find it like in the witch's lair or
Oh,
whatever?
yeah, I don't think I've unlocked that area yet.
I doubt that I have.
I don't think I unlocked the witches area yet. Not in this play. Isn't that up here by the mining stuff? And then there's like a
No, I
second
definitely haven't. It's like by the spa.
right here. Okay. Oh, there it goes. That's part of the story we're working on now. There's the witch. There's the wizard. Okay. Been waiting for you. Have I ever told you I used to be married? I mean, we kind of know who your daughter is, but yeah. Strange, I know, for a man like me, but true. Have you done this part?
I have. Not in this game, but
Sixer!
I'll go there next to.
My wife and I were together for many years until I made a mistake that drove her away. Her anger and envy were so intense that she turned green and began flying around the countryside, cursing everything in her path. When I found out, I sealed this passage to her home, fearing that an innocent villager might fall prey to her dark magic. Boy chickens! But now it must be unsealed, for when we separated, she took my magic ink. I need that magic ink.
Rude.
I would do this myself, but I can't see her again. That's why I need your help. In order to unseal this passage, you'll need a dark talisman. Talk to Cronus in the sewer. He should know where to find one. Counting on you. If you can retrieve my magic ink, I promise I'll make it worth your while. Now go. Okay. She's characters. What the heck? There's the witch. She's already out. What are you talking about? Okay. Okay. Magic ink.
Drop a salmon.
Drop a salmon? Oh yeah, avoid salmon, please. I bet you're right though. I bet you catch it in that area or something. So we'll go talk to Krobus real quick and see what we can find out from Krobus. Gotta go to the sewers. Is there a passageway to the sewer? Yeah, right here.
Lock for me because I haven't met Krobus, I think, in this game.
I don't know. Keyboard Dark Talisman. Now that you mentioned it, I did have one in my possession not too long ago. Fortunately, I dropped it while exploring that tunnel in the far corner. Things started heating up in there, so I left in a hurry and sealed the entrance. You seem pretty sturdy, though, so I'll just open it back up for you. Just be careful, okay? Does he let you talk to me?
Yeah.
Alright. I think I need a sword in here. Watch out. We're looking for something he dropped. What did he say he dropped?
His dark talisman. Aha.
Bones.
Oh. I got kicked again.
Oh.
If you go, like, up top.
Top right, I think, maybe?
Top-ish. I was there before I got kicked.
Oh, it said you were still sitting at the bottom. Oh, there's the thing, the chest. Maybe? Ooh. Dark Talisman. I wonder if it's one of my mods making you get kicked. I wonder if I need to reevaluate some of those.
I'm not worried about it. I'm trying to reconnect right now. I don't think that it is because I also am like super loud on stream. Like,
Okay.
what I'm
So it might just be bandwidth because
way behind them.
y'all watching movies and stuff. Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, we found Linus. He's dead in the sewer, under the water.
Oh, God.
Yeah. What did you do, Krobus? Okay, so we got the talisman. I really need to talk to Robin too. Real quick. Yeah.
Oh, there goes my camera again. Flashing.
Hey, how do I get to the horse thing? I'm guessing just the tractor one. Is that a tractor thing? It is, okay. Okay. So weird. Anyway. Alright. Now we are going to... Oh, we gotta go up those stairs. I wonder if there's bodies in here. I'm scared. There's a body in the bathhouse.
Oh God. Just
That's
like
what I want to know.
floating in the hot tub.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious. Yep.
Who is it?
I don't know. The one with the white dress. Is that the blonde hair girl? Emily's sister. What's her name? The one that everybody just doesn't like.
Probably. I'm
Didn't she
waiting.
have a white dress?
I don't remember. I'm almost there on
I,
watching your camera. Hold on.
yeah, I think she has a white dress.
Oh, I can't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either. Makes me wonder
Is
if
that
there's somebody in the.
Arcadia?
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me wonder if there's somebody in the guy's bathhouse too, but I can't go in there.
Oh, right.
Well, and because I'm not a dude. What? Oh, we haven't unlocked that one yet. I forgot that's another area. I haven't unlocked that area yet either.
Which area?
Um, the one to the left of this, there's a rock and a stairway blocking it right here. See? This area? That's weird.
Hold on. Oh, yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so laggy. Oh, yeah, Cleo?
Oh, what happened? Oh. Dancing mushrooms. Oh. Oh, don't I have to bring him some kind of jam or jelly or something? He like jam or jelly or something. I can't remember what to bring him.
Isn't
Did
it
he tell me
voicemail?
in the mail? Void mail? I bet you're right. Bet you're right. Let's find out. It was void mail. You're so right. You're so right. It was void mail. Oh, this is where you undo things. This is like you make people forget crap in these. Like,
That's fun.
like your children will turn into doves and fly away.
Oh, God.
And then this one is Dark Shrine of Memories. The statue stares through you. Oh, I think everybody forgets memories of you, or I don't remember what that one does. Ancient magic seal of protection will be restored, preventing monsters from appearing on your farm at night to make an offering of one strange bun. Oh, so monsters won't have to appear anymore.
Huh.
Bone is probably covered in bacteria. You decide not to touch it. Try not to make eye contact. Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, well, we're out of this creepy place. Oh, wait, there was something on the ground in there.
I'm surprised there's no one dead in there.
Curse the countryside, a spell book for the ritual. Oh, for the ritual. Curse the countryside! Oh my gosh, cursing the whole countryside. What is that? That's where we spawned in, I guess. I don't know. My horse is still stuck in there. See a butt. Get out of there. Okay, so we got the wizard's ink. So I guess we take it back to the wizard. It's probably done for the day. No one had. He probably wouldn't even let us in. Like, come back when before. It's 5 o'clock. It's too late.
Closed though.
Does he?
I feel like he's like open at weird hours.
Here's some caviar. Don't we need caviar for one of those things? No, that's roe. But yeah, it's in a different dish. So I wonder how you can get it in one of those. Maybe you gotta put it in one of those mayonnaise producing machines or something, make it look weird.
Oh, you put it in the fruit, like in the jam, like where you make jam.
One of these.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to put it in the top corner. My inventory is too full. I'm trying to trick it. Oh, that's bug stuff. I wonder if you can make stuff out of those. There's the ginger.
Organize it. It might just put it first because it's probably the most valuable.
There.
I don't know.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I don't organize it. I did it the hard way. It worked though. It's next to be made. So I just have to come back and get it later. Old crumpled note. I forget, you're supposed to read these, aren't you? Oh, if I get away from my horse. Mermaid show. Oh, that's the key to the mermaid show.
Oh, cool.
It tells you what the instrument blocks are supposed to be. In what order.
Oh.
So I'm gonna save that for later.
That's easy enough to remember.
I just write it. Mermaid show. I saved it. It's my computer. So I don't know. Because I think the note disappears. Yeah, the note disappears once you read it. And this is the photo. Can't look at that, really. Okay. Is there any of those boxes around here to get rid of stuff? It is over here. Taro tuber? Oh god, there's so many truffles. Oh, I just tore up the sidewalk. Truffles. Oh, your parsnip's growing. It looks ready.
Oh, yay! I'll have to harvest it when it lets me back in the game.
It's not letting you in?
No, I'm not able to get in.
Okay, well, I'll sleep and maybe it'll let you in.
Alright, let me end task and just start from scratch here.
Go to sleep yet? I don't even know where the cat is. I just want to put a tiara on the cat. I can never find the cat. Oh, hold on. I found the cat. I saw something. Where was it? Cat's invisible. I swear I saw all these. There it is. It's right there somewhere. It's invisible and it's hiding behind the Christmas tree on top of that. I'm gonna have to wait till it goes over behind the Christmas tree. This mod looks so cute, by the way. Don't the notes go into your memo thingy? Maybe. I think you're right. There's probably a memo thingy. I'll have to look and see where that's at. It is under, let's see, so if I escape. There's a memo thingy. Secret notes. Oh yeah, there they are. Okay.
Oh, nice. I don't know that was a thing.
Oh, there's something right there. Oh. X marks the spot.
Hey, I'm back in.
Yay.
I'll go harvest my parsnip.
Yep, get your parsnip.
Uh-oh, what's the pond mean?
Tomorrow we'll be holding an egg festival. 9 to 2. Egg hunt. I think my fish is hungry.
I love all the names of the animals.
Population, bring coral. I just got rid of the coral.
Here, I'll go to the beach and find some.
It wants 2 red coral. The fishies do, yeah. Let's see what this one has. Blobfish is still fine. So organize. Oh, you were right about it organizing. The most valuable at the top. So that worked.
Okay.
How did I end up with a parsnip? I didn't pick your parsnip, did I?
Oh, I think it automatically goes into the chest when I harvest it.
Oh. That or I walked by it as you were picking it?
No, I think it, because I ran into this before too in the mines with something.
Mm. Good evening. Hi, Afro. Good evening to you too. Hope you're doing awesome. These trees are just like too close together because they're not growing or something.
Uh-oh.
Maple, oak. Figure that out later and plant some more stuff. Pikachu! Pika, Pika, Pika. Yes. That's out. Come on, Nacho. Okay, now I lost track of what I was doing. Oh, I was gonna go see the wizard. That's what I was gonna do. But still, this person's horse. Oh no! That person's horse bow comes off every time I touch it. I don't understand that. Where's the cat? Cat, where are you at? There you are. There you are. You get a tiara. Stay still. Or is that a mod that isn't out yet? I know it's supposed to be an update coming. I want the cat to wear the tiara, and it won't let me. Maybe it's not out yet. Me and Rain were talking about it, though. Alright. This horse is gonna take me to see the wizard. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard. Stardew Valley. Let's quick past his house. Can't get through all this junk. Okay. Now I'll work my way through here somehow.
Reconnected to Discord.
My food. Excellent. Hey. Found the ink. Did you happen to see my ex-wife? Yes. No? Well, what about her house? I did see her. Do you think she lives alone? Or she lives alone? Stop.
Well, someone's jealous.
Yeah, actually don't tell me. I don't want to know. She has some spooky ghost guard. Anyway, you must be wondering about your reward here. Yes, give me the book. The magical book. I forget what you do with it though. Book of Summoning. An arcane potential is immense, but I'll make it simple for you. By using this book, you can summon magic buildings directly to your farm. Junimo huts! I think you'll find it
Ooh.
useful. Oh, almost forgot to say, thank you. I want a Junimo hut! Alright, let's see what I gotta do to get a Junimo hut. Junimo huts will harvest crops around the hut for you. Stone, starfruit, and fiber. I wonder if we had starfruit in the greenhouse. Probably not. Maybe? Starfruit?
Oh, who's dead? Oh, that's Caroline.
Oh, hey lady. What you got? Baked fish. No void fish. VGA paradise. No starfruit. No void fish. Okay. Not helping me. Where's my horse?
Maybe you have to fish for it in the witch's hut.
Okay, so apparently this one with the bow is my horse. No, it's not even near my house. What did he say he needed for Dynamo Hut? I didn't forget. Wood.
Fiber, starfruit. I don't remember
Something.
what else.
We were going to the greenhouse to look for starfruit.
I have coral to add to the pond when it reconnects.
Sweet. There's pineapples in here.
Ooh, fancy.
Pineapples. No starfruit. And bananas. We have bananas. Is that mangoes? Mangoes. Somebody's already been to the island and put special fruits in my doohickey. Pineapples, eggplants, corn, grapes, blueberries, all kinds of good stuff in here. Coffee beans, cherries. Just harvesting some of this goodness. And then we'll, I ran out of room to pick up some of this goodness, so yeah, let's see. Oh, there's a chest here for it too.
There's starfruit in there? No.
I keep throwing stuff away and I was like, why is it not actually leaving? Just because I was picking up all the stuff nearby. Oh no, but these other things are here. These ancient fruit that I needed. That's what it was. Ancient fruit. Ancient fruit was one of them.
Oh.
So it was fiber, ancient fruit, and starfruit, I think is what it was. Money.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, let's go. Cherries. Wait. There's a machine in here to make stuff. We're supposed to be making things with this stuff. I don't even know what all it makes, but we're gonna find out. I don't think it makes hops in anything, but...
Does it make seeds?
Oh, it is seed makers. It is seed makers. Okay, we don't need that many seeds. I'll let Rain handle that. That's her production stuff. I'm just gonna walk away with that. And then I have to figure out where I want to put the Junimo hut because they actually like serve the area that you stick them in, you know? So probably like this.
The biggest field, yeah.
Yeah, like this big field. I'm guessing that's what is that?
Oh no.
Okay. Pick whatever that is. Kale. Hopefully that's enough room for a Junimo hut. Hmm. It's still not letting you back in?
No.
It only lets you in when I sleep, so you have to join. Oh, I wonder if the invite password's different or something.
No, it's not. I've been using the same one. I'm just super lagging again, so I think it's the bandwidth on my.
People are watching things and stuff.
Yeah.
They're stealing all your internet.
Mhm. No more fiber here.
No.
Ah well.
Apparently, I keep leaping horses over here. You know, collection.
Horse collection.
Yo.
Oh, hello, Crowley.
Alright, we're just gonna go in here and do things and stuff. And fiber. Fiker. You're a fiker. Oh, I think I only get tiger. Demolish, move buildings, demolish. Oh, I need stone. It was an ancient fruit. I need ancient fruit for something else we saw, but I don't remember what it was. There was the other thing that we needed, like ancient fruit, and I don't remember.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know, but we needed ancient fruit, the caviar. Oh, the JoJo Mart.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And the caviar, yeah. Okay, well now we
And
have
the
to get the
void
key.
fish. So I need regular stone. Build. Okay, do I have enough room to build this thing? I'm gonna have to go replant where I destroyed the excess. It's not gonna be centered.
Oh no. We'll just
Nuts.
replant around it so that it looks centered.
Yep. We'll just have to destroy a row of kale or something, or onions, or yeah, kale. Junimo huts. What else is in here? Anything? It's just the Junimo huts, I think. Junimos will harvest crops around the hut for you. I've never had one. I've always wanted them, but I've never had them. Look at all, they're plucking the kale. They're so cute. They're plucking all the stuff. It's gonna be annoying because it's never gonna look perfect because they're always plucking things. So do I like come here? Oh yeah, look. I'll just all put it in there. It's so cute.
So nice.
They're so cute. Yeah.
Who knew that would
They're
have Junimo employees?
right. So now you gotta worry about replanting the kale because they'll just. Oh, and their hut normally looks different. That's my mod making it look that way. It usually looks like the one in the community center does. The little,
Oh, yeah.
with the little green roof like this. That's green.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I think this is part of the Gothic building mod or something. Is that version? They're so cool though. I feel like we might have to have a Junimo hut in a different area too. I don't know, but maybe not.
I think we can make that happen.
That's the main garden though. Let's see, what do you put in there? I guess that's the for the meal work. You put
Oh, probably,
or
yeah.
wheat in there or something.
Wheat and the rice, I think it does.
Yeah. And then if you want to plant stuff, like summer takes 13 days. Starfruit, we can plant starfruit.
Wouldn't we have to put it in the greenhouse, though?
Is it summer now?
I think it's spring right now.
Oh. Yeah, just leave it. We'll let the Junimos pick everything first. And then we'll worry about what we're
Free labor.
Yep. I needed that, and I needed stuff for JoJo Mart, but and I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna put here. I just don't know what yet. So for now, I might just fill it in with stone till I get to whatever the patio pavers are called. I don't know what they're called.
Is it like just cobblestone or something?
Sidewalk? I don't know.
Probably. Come on.
I don't remember. Let's see. Stone walkway. There we go. Stone
Hey.
walkway. So I figure out what I'm putting here. And then our trees are like not growing.
Oh no. Oh right, because they're too close together.
I'll just put the walkway pieces in here for somebody else to use. Yeah, I think they're too close together. We were gonna put like tappers on them and stuff and have them there, but I think they're just too close together. That's a one kind, so I'll just take up one of each.
Yeah, like the every other one.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna look weird. I can fix that though. And it could be because I think they might need like 3 whole square things. So this might not even do it. They might need more room than that. They might need more room than that, but we'll find out. And so I can dig up the area, let them grow, and then put down the things maybe afterwards. After they grow. See how much the Junimos did.
See if they did it in any sort of order.
Wow, they did. Look, it's like clean like this way.
Yeah. I wonder if it only goes for a certain like area though.
Did they plant the cauliflower?
I don't remember it being there.
I don't remember being there either.
That's nice.
Oh, a secret note from a bat.
Oh. What does it have to say?
From your front door, go left, forward, right, forward. It's like a map.
I wonder what it does.
I don't know. But it looks like from my front door. Unless it's not my front left. So I can't go left forward from my front door unless I do it inside.
Maybe it's just like one step.
But then it was like a whole bunch of instructions, steps. Yeah, it was left. Can't walk forward from your house. Oh, it's out your door, so it's reversed, maybe.
Maybe?
But why would it have you go left, right?
Doesn't make any sense. What are you chewing on?
Left, right, forward, backwards.
Here, do you want me to write it down and read it out to you while you try?
Yeah.
Here, I'll take a picture of it.
So like, it just doesn't make no sense.
Alright. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, let me back up. So I'm gonna assume that it means left is right and right is left or something. I don't know.
Alright, we'll try.
What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'd say that we should try it the way that it says and then try it the inverse, maybe?
Okay.
So maybe it's like off your steps?
Think so.
Maybe.
Okay.
So you go to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go up.
Mm-hmm. I can't.
Oh. Then you go right.
Okay.
Then you go up. Then you go right.
Mm-hmm.
Down.
Mm-hmm.
Left. Down. Left. Down. And then it's a check mark.
Here.
I wonder if you just have to turn the ways that they're asking you to instead of like actually moving.
Yeah, I don't know. I know at one time there was like a thing hidden, like in this part of your house, but that was a different thing.
And are we sure it's the house and not like a coop or something?
Could be, but it kind of looks like the house.
Oh, what time is it?
Egg hunt time.
See if it lets me back in now that you went to sleep.
I don't know. We have to look that one up.
Yeah, that's weird.
Truffles. Truffles. They're eating all the grass. I have to plant more grass.
Wind is whistling here. It's very creepy.
Oh, I meant to drop everything off, but I guess I didn't, so we'll put that one in there. Like, let Rose join the game!
It just says still connecting.
But see, this is why you're supposed to be able to use that one rod. It's like, come back later, festival's being set up. And then I can be like, no. Oh, it still didn't let me do the festival. But yeah, I can go through walls, you know, or something.
Oh, that's fun.
It's like a secret area somewhere.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember where though. Okay. But technically, I could go past that boulder now. And look, if I want to.
Oh.
See? There's a little path up here. I've never been up here.
Me neither. Huh.
What? What the heck is this?
I don't know. Are you like in a mountain?
I guess? I don't even know what that is. Maybe it's still under development area?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Then you can like look around and go.
Oh, try fishing for the sand.
Oh yeah.
Fish. Oh, but the egg hunt started.
Yeah. Are you back in the game?
No, I don't think it's gonna let me.
And I'll just let the egg hunt go. I got the boy fish. So right.
Hey!
Now I know where it's at. Oh, and a dino egg. Let's talk about that. Okay, and then so that stuff was for JoJo, right? JoJo.
Yeah. But if you go into the town, it'll probably do the egg hunt, but you can put it in the next day.
Flamingo! Local set of banners, decorative pitchfork. Interesting. Why is the pitchfork available during Easter? Plush bunny. Rain wants the pitchfork. We'll get the pitchfork for Rain. Alright, let's practice our egg hunting skills.
You got this.
Oh, hey! Slacker! I'm the slacker. Stardew's like the only game that I get distracted and feel like I'm not watching chat enough. It's like, because it's just so relaxing and you're just like stuck on it.
You just get so into it.
Yeah, it's like my mods need to yell at me or something and make sound commands or something when somebody texts so that I'll look. Free sticker! Yay! Which one do you want? I'm pretty sure you have a more spooky sticker time. Sweet. Spooky sticker. Let's see. I will write it down. Yay. Redeem spooky sticker. Or that way you'll both have a sticker. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Spooky, scary skeleton.
Spooky, scary skeleton.
But yeah, you're gonna have to get legs every time somebody says something and I'm not paying attention. You gotta do one of the sound commands, like do this or something. Like wake up or go, boop.
Have like the
Or
alarm clock blaring.
yeah, because if I hear these, then I'll look. And that's like a way for a mod to go, hey, look, without saying, hey, you're not paying attention. Okay. Good to know. Yes. See, that's a way you can get the streamer's attention without being obvious that she's not paying attention. She's a terrible streamer. Yes, I need wine. I'm out. It's terrible.
No!
I have nothing but water. Okay, I'm gonna compete with all these ghost kids on picking up eggs. Technically you wouldn't think they'd be able to pick up anything.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna pick them up because you guys can't even touch them. Stay away from my eggs. See, I'm not even going around the house.
While you're at it.
Right? Alright, there's like some in here. Oh, it slowed me down too.
Oh.
I guess it didn't let me use my cheat codes on the speed thing. I think I have like a set path now that I go pretty much for this egg hunt. I've done it so many times. Like, pretty sure there's one right there. There's like one in the car. There's one in the backyard. Yeah.
Man, the other kids suck at finding these eggs.
I'm at 9. I don't know how many they got.
Hi.
Irene, welcome. I hope you had an awesome day.
Oh no.
I've been fighting a migraine all day.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I just competed in the egg hunt without you, man.
No, how dare you?
Abigail beat me.
You
Yeah, she beat
bitch.
me. I had like 9 eggs. She still beat me.
That bitch.
Right?
No,
So rude.
Snappy, I don't want it to open, Snappy.
Ghosts aren't supposed to be able to pick up eggs. That's all I'm saying.
Rigged.
Didn't update anything.
We're gonna have to plant our trees elsewhere, tap them, because I don't think they're growing here. I might have to plant them in with the farm animals where there's more square footage, because I think they need so many square blocks of land around them. That or we can plant them over near Robin's house maybe and tap them.
Oh yeah, you can always easily do that.
Because you can plant trees over there in Robin's area.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, I got Junimos down.
Yay.
Junimos are down here doing their own farm things.
Excuse me.
I swear the cabbages have grown since earlier. Maybe because the Junimos are there? Yes. Look you up with your invite code. Let me go to sleep.
I'm gonna try rejoining while you're asleep too again.
Okay. And then switch to
one that works the best.
baby so I can get the invite code. Toaster gave birth to a baby sheep.
Oh my god.
Here every day.
I didn't know toasters to sheeps.
Toasters apparently do give birth to sheep. But...
You have to buy it from the right store.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, let me in.
Yay.
Yay! Dang game, it's being rude to her. Okay. And then
Crowley, come on.
need
I need it to be dark. My head hurts.
no.
I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be getting rain, or at least there's gonna be rain at some point around that
Yeah.
area.
So apparently there's an extra bundle for JoJo Mart now by the Junimos.
I still need the invite code.
Oh,
Oh, here.
and that's why I got it on this screen. Ah, okay.
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, oops.
Okay.
I don't know if I was supposed to put it in the chat, but I did.
It's fine. It's just the live team anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. You're good. And then
Can you turn your like yellow light on your computer?
Probably not.
Like your warm light instead of your blue light.
Oh, my warm light is on. I don't have blue light on. Turn the brightness down though. Alright, yay! Brightness is down.
Needs to be.
Oh yes, our children. What are their names?
You're such a good mother. Not Toaster. I know that much.
Oh,
Poster is a
we
sheep
only have one.
apparently.
Lady Mono. That's right.
Lady Mono.
Yep, our daughter, Lady Mono.
But yeah, I need to get Dino Mayo, a bottle of wine, some golden ancient fruit because I grabbed the wrong ones, some caviar.
Yeah, I can grab a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Where did we get this trophy from?
The trophy is from completing the community center.
That's new.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Get a trophy now.
And I
Is
got
that
a
you,
bottle
Ash?
of wine.
Okay. You can go put it in the thingamajig. And then I gotta go.
Well, I didn't mean to harvest the poppies, but I guess I did.
Oops. Gonna have to replant them.
I was just trying to harvest the rice, alright? It's not. Oh, you fucker.
What did I do with the ancient? Oh, it's. Oh wait. See, that's not what I need. I don't need albacore roe. How do we get that other thing?
Huh?
I don't even know.
You need sturgeon roe to make the caviar.
But why does it look like a different container?
Because you have to put it in the like the jam thing and let it.
Oh, interesting. I think our pig is broken.
Pig is
Just,
broken.
like, glitching out in the barn door.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Broken pig. Oops.
Oh, hey. Oh, yes. Oh, well, no wonder.
Yeah. Need mail.
Fucking wonder that happened.
And
The
how do you
chest
get
and the-
mail again? Do these
Get
things
the
make the mail?
egg thingies in the thing.
Oh yeah, and the
Where are you
goose.
at? Oh, that's the preserved jars. I just collected our wine from the shed.
Oh, new chick attached. Wait a minute.
Oh, yay!
Pika.
Oh, I forgot. I have the coral to add to the
Oh, yes.
pond.
Good, because I just picked up the row from it. That's all I could do.
Duck mayonnaise, regular mayonnaise. We need a void mayonnaise. I need dino mayonnaise. So I guess I'm putting
I'm
this
over
egg
here
in there.
harvesting everything.
Yeah, we've been slacking on the harvesting.
That's okay. I got it.
That's because we got the Junimos to do it now. We just hired them.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if we're paying them, but
Yeah.
I guess they're volunteering.
Well,
Yeah.
they're doing a shit job because we got some that just died.
Kimonos or crops?
I think the crop died because lightning hit it. To be
Oh.
fair.
Oh, did we have a storm?
Yeah, a couple times.
I brought you coral.
Ooh.
Alright,
That's how you get it? Roasted hazelnuts? I bet you put it over here to get the special row. Oh.
I'm not used to not being speedy.
It is. We are
What is
in
on
Chipper.
Oh god.
We still need coral. Did you get
I
that
just
coral?
put it in there. I don't know why it didn't take. I'm gonna go get
Oh.
more though.
They might need more. Yeah, they need one more.
I was gonna say, it probably required 2.
Yeah, I did.
I thought I put 2 in there, but oh well.
Apparently not.
And of course, there's none on the beach at the moment.
Of course not. Why would there be?
Scared Rose
I
starting
should go check on my
the
little
luxury.
slimes. Those guys probably haven't been touched either, have they?
Nope, I ain't been in there at all.
Oh my god.
I'm
Here, I'll share my screen real quick.
scared to know.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. They've been
There are
busy.
so many eggs.
Right?
So many slime eggs.
Okay.
Oh, I
So.
can hear you.
Yeah. You can hear what she's doing, yeah. So. Oh, I don't have to get the ancient fruit if I get the mail
Oh, I am
first.
so sorry, little guys. I'm not meaning to attack you.
Mail. Dino mail. Yes. Okay, that'll work. Key. Orb.
Sorry if it's picking up the audio from it.
No, you're fine. Realize I don't have to get the 5 gold star ancient fruits.
So much slime. I got
Are you guys
600
ready?
slime out of that.
You ready? 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 Ready?
Holy fuck.
Here goes. I'm doing a thing.
Hey.
And I get a prize? No.
Wait. What the
Okay. Little purple Junimo. What is he gonna do to Jojo Mart? Did he like reassemble Jojo Mart? Is that what he does? I wonder.
Oh.
No? Live on the stage. All the others made it back except me. No, they didn't. They're back at the farm. Shh. Don't tell him. Now I can go home. Too. Thank you. Thank you. Aw, you can go home, but then you'll find out that nobody's there. They're on the farm. We'll see you in a few hours. You'll be on the farm too.
Oh, poor little guy.
Yo. Fun. Something good will happen soon. I think I remember a hint about that area, but don't tell me. We'll find out when we wake up tomorrow.
Oh my god, so many tulips.
Hi, Ghost Caroline.
This is the mill.
Great miss. You are not helpful.
Hi, Ghost Pam.
Go put this stuff in here.
Alright, I'm starting a flower collection in my trunk, so if anybody needs flowers.
What was here that you picked? I don't even know.
Huh? What?
Somebody picked something there.
Oh, she's harvesting the flowers.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
They're all in my house trunk, so if you need flowers.
Okay. No, we're good. As long as we replant stuff.
I got a lot of mail.
Why aren't the Junimos working today?
Maybe it's Sunday, it's a day of rest.
I found
Oh, I bet you're right.
I don't know.
I bet you're
Or
right.
maybe because
Rain's here, so they took the day off.
yeah.
What? What are they doing?
They took the day off because you're here.
Yeah, they saw that you were here, so they were like, "Oh, Rain
yeah.
will harvest the crops."
Oh, I did that, yeah. They were just harvestable, so I imagine they would have done it overnight.
Yeah. Well, they know they work in the day. You can see them walking around.
Oh,
They're cute.
I haven't seen them. They're definitely slacking then.
Yeah, these trees aren't gonna grow. More like evict them.
Oh, because they're little huts here, I see.
Mm-hmm.
I see it now.
I'm gonna evict these trees. We're gonna grow them over the other place.
Aged albacore roe, that's cool.
We're making all kinds of cool stuff. Get off me, bat! Can't you see I'm busy here, Mr. Bat?
Rude.
Hey.
Y'all.
I could install some more fish ponds or something. I don't know. We have plenty of room now.
My water.
Figure out what we need more room for, and we'll put it in.
Okay.
Kitty!
Y'all are a hot mess. Get down.
Did we
please.
plant any flowers here? I don't think we did.
Growly.
Ah!
It's like the mom.
Oh my god. The worst.
Get off my friend's back.
Thank you for protecting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm guessing you were planting flowers here or harvesting flowers here.
Yeah, I was harvesting flowers there.
So we gotta plant some more. What was there? Poppies? Or these blue things? What are they called?
Blue jazz was there. And then
Okay, so
tulips were right in front of my house.
Tulips. So we need tulip seeds or blue jazz seeds or
Both.
All of them. Why not?
blue jazz. And
Oh
do
my
we
god.
have
Matt!
tulips?
All of those eggs. Dav. Oh yes, Dav.
Ah,
Puddles. You don't
eh.
have to keep digging, dude.
He's like, yeah, I do, Mom, actually.
We should make some, grow some wheat whenever we can
I
and
love him.
do stuff for that season.
Sorry. How rude.
I guess it's getting close to bedtime.
Just a little bit. Alright.
Tulips. Da, 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 da. Provis? Oh, no.
No, that's a like a zombie guy,
Golem.
I think.
Yeah.
You killed Krobus!
I know, I'm so confused. Don't do that to me. I don't think I did.
Can you imagine if you could like accidentally kill players? Like you know when you
Right.
have it on your sword and you like accidentally.
God. That'd be hilarious. Okay. I go to sleep now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We gotta go to sleep.
I might need to go
You're
to
the
sleep
only
then.
one not in bed.
I
Really?
know.
Two here.
Oh, my wife returned.
Oh, right. What are they doing?
Female hive,
Oh.
Sag, JoJo's. What are they
Yep.
making?
You'll see. You'll see. You haven't.
I know.
You
I
haven't
think I
gotten to do
remember.
this yet, have you?
I haven't. We're doing lots of neat fresh things for me today.
Ooh.
Day 14.
I've already had this kind of event.
Human escape. Nobody
Great.
caught it. No,
Yeah,
I
we've
always have to
actually been around
restart
for
my
a while.
games because I end up start playing with new people and then,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, it's raining. Where's our child? Oh no.
Gus.
You lose your child again.
Oh, she's in the bedroom. Okay, there she is.
Yes, leaks. Could you bring me one?
Kitty.
Leak.
Check again.
Granny needs a leak.
Alright, I find it really rude that you go into the cellar and you hear all the fucking rain. I think it's rude.
I don't know. I'm making my way to the
Oh,
to see what turns
there.
both.
Cool. Movie ticket.
I have access to Willie's back room.
Yes, we do. We went there earlier, but we failed at it because we kept getting locked up. Every time we go into the cave thing, we follow the little fire guy and it would lock us up.
Oh no.
So we kind of gave up on that for a little while. We can't go in until 9 a.m., but we can buy a ticket now. That's weird.
Yeah, we're just reserving the time. Don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Found corn in the trash.
Look at my camera.
Steelies. I wish we could do that with Monty.
Da, 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 da. Almost 9 o'clock. I've searched all the trash cans. I like your tiara. I got one for the cat, but then the cat
I found
wouldn't
this
wear
in the
it yet.
trash.
So when does the cats get to wear hats? Because I tried putting a hat on the cat and it didn't work.
Not yet. He hasn't updated it yet.
Oh.
Okay. I bought my ticket already.
Hey, let's go. Would you like to spend your movie ticket to see
Yeah.
the movie by yourself? No? Want to go with friends?
Oh, well, it's okay. We're going together anyway. We're already in here. No, can
Oh.
you get yourself a thing?
Oh, a little snacky.
Wait, wait. I'm here with a guest. You can order them a snack. Oh.
Oh, I see how
Oh,
it is.
looks like you're here by yourself.
People can't eat.
Why? Why does it think we're here by ourselves?
Oh, because we didn't bring one of the, villagers.
Oh,
The
okay.
townies. It's
So
okay.
we don't count.
Let's go. Let's go see the movie. I was gonna say, am I not sitting by my wife?
You did. Let me sit next to you. That's crazy. Well, maybe we watch it. The brave little sapling. Oh my god. Like the ones I just murdered.
Oh yeah, you have to hit the little thing.
See that now. The brave little sapling is leaving his home. He's hesitant for a moment and turns around, knowing he won't be back for a long time. The other saplings of his grove gathered at the edge of town, excitedly waving their twigs goodbye. Sounds like Peekman. Oh no, out of nowhere it starts raining. The little sapling goes into a sprint as thunder clouds loom overhead.
Oh god.
Fearing for his life and demoralized by the relentless downpour, the brave little sapling begins to lose hope. But what is this? The sapling feels a tingling on the top of his head. Oh no, you're gonna get struck by lightning. Nope,
No,
he sprouted.
No.
Perhaps a little rain was what it needed to begin its journey into becoming a tree. Yep, definitely a pigment. Farewell, little buddy. The movie was concluded for the night. We hope you enjoyed the show. So are there different movies? Just the one. Probably just the one.
I'm pretty sure.
You could get snacks. No.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, maybe there's more.
Journey of the Prairie Queen. Oh. So I wonder if it changes per season?
Maybe.
Or per like week
Oh,
or
that could
something?
be.
I bet it does. Yeah, because right now it has the pigment poster. Now playing the brave little sapling. It tells you on the wall inside what's playing. Hey, she's not a ghost. She's not a ghost. Neither is the guy at the crane machine.
I don't think they were part of the mod originally.
Probably not.
I don't want a dandelion. I want a leek. Sounds funny. Oh, who you? Oh, yes.
Yay.
I was like,
you hopped off the horse. Got you all distracted.
I don't want a dandelion. I want a leek.
Right. Alright, I'm stealing this horse. I don't know whose horse it is, but I'm stealing it.
I just stole her horse.
God, my head.
Can be placed inside your house. Oh, where? How do you place a decorative pitchfork in your house?
Well, that's a question I've always wondered.
Right? Well, here's the thing is it's not actually letting me place it anywhere.
Maybe it has to be on a wall?
Oh, I bet it
Oh yeah, it's up
does.
against the wall. And it takes up so much space.
So, aha, there it goes, right behind the lamp. There, now I can't even see it. The lamp's in the way, but it's up there. I bought it for my wife.
Just
Decorative
like
pitchfork.
always wanted a decorative.
Yes, she did.
Always.
She wanted a decorative pitchfork on the wall.
To
So I
help
bought it
off
for
the
her.
mobs that come after me.
In her sleep. And I did plant tulips. And the jazz is all planted.
Are you looking for a leak down here too?
Yeah. I've already
Gotta
looked
give-
everywhere else.
You gotta give leaks to what's his name?
George.
George.
Yeah, Evelyn
George.
needed it for George.
Yes. Oh, the cart's not here.
I love how when you go into the secret woods, there's no sound. Like,
Yeah,
no
so
rain
that
sounds. It's great.
George. George. Oh, did we need seats for there too? Oops.
I wonder if we just have a random leak hanging out somewhere.
That's what I'm like starting to look through all the trunks.
Probably because I harvested some before.
Yeah,
Just don't
but
know
that
what
was
I did
probably
with them
forever
before.
ago.
No, I meant like today. Or since the stream. I just don't know where I put them. I may have got rid of them.
That's unsurprising.
Yep.
There are a lot of chests.
There are, yeah.
Yep. George, George, George of the jungle, strong as he can be.
Thank you for joining my chest.
Parsnips.
Da, 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 da.
Haha!
You
There's
found
one in the fridge.
Hey!
A
The
single
last
one.
Ah,
chest I thought
that
of.
might be where I put it. That was in the fridge at one point.
It's only one though.
No, I didn't want to pull up the floor.
Good job.
Thanks.
You know, we need to make coffee somewhere. What do we do with all these coffee beans? How do we make coffee?
Yeah.
Selling it?
Well, no, you can make coffee, but where's the
Yeah,
coffee machine?
So the shed below the greenhouse.
Makes the coffee? Okay.
Yeah. So not the one beside it, but below it.
Oh, I thought that was a house.
Coffee shop.
Wow.
Oh. I don't know what happened there, but I'm skipping it.
Okay. So yeah, that one's totally making coffee.
Where's Evelyn hanging out right now? I need grandma.
There's all kinds of other birds in here. This is also where the hops goes, right?
Yes, they can go in there too.
And I think it's too full to actually
Yeah, she's
function.
Yeah, I did the thing.
So
Oh, let's see what rude thing Alex has to say to me.
Right.
Oh, that wasn't exciting.
I found
Skip
all the
minus
peppers
sports.
that you needed. I found all the peppers.
Oh, I did find them earlier and gave one to Lewis.
Mm.
It was the same day that you caught him and Marnie outside.
Yeah. Woo! Busted. Had them.
Hello? Ow. Tina. You know I can't see when you do this.
Yeah, that's why he's doing it.
Let's see. Not here. That. So it's still spring, right?
God, your claws are sharp. Yeah, it's still spring. Oh, I don't know how to harvest a parsnip because it automatically went somewhere last time.
What?
Like I have to, for you know how it's the getting started thing, I still haven't been able to cultivate and harvest a parsnip.
Oh.
Because all the automators are on and they're stealing her food when she harvested. I don't know how it went from her inventory to the automator though.
I don't know either.
That's super weird.
I would try again because I think I picked it up by accident is what happened.
I need to get more parsnip seeds first. Oh, let me see if there's some in the seed.
Well, Mono's hogging the seed one, and there's a thing of parsnips in there.
I'll move out of the way.
Seeds. Here, I'll kill the bat.
And she even freaking rude. You ignored
What?
the parsnips.
I was leaving them for her. I didn't want to pick them
You
up.
just have to harvest it, right?
Oh crap, I
I
hit the wrong
plant
thing.
it and
Oh.
yeah.
She has to
Lame.
plant it and harvest it.
Okay, let me put it back in.
Where are the oh, thanks.
I was trying to make it easy, but I can't do it. I had to move my horse. Okay, now. Tried. Just trying to be helpful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know you're on a tractor, but it looks like you're on a motorcycle in the field. Alright, I'm gonna plant it right in front of my barn.
In your game, it probably looks like I'm on a horse, doesn't it?
Junimos are slacking. They didn't harvest any of these.
No. It's Sunday, remember? Or it was. Yeah, I don't know.
Now it's
Maybe
Monday. They're just not doing shit.
Yeah, I think maybe they only have it like a certain radius.
Yeah, that might be it too. Might need more Junomo huts to cover the whole radius. Yeah.
Alright, I just tucked into bed, and I think I may be headed that way in real life too.
That's okay. I understand.
I feel that.
Me too.
Though I did last like 2 hours later than I usually do, which is thankful.
You did. I'm being attacked. Play everything. I'm trying to plant grass for the farm animals. And everything wants to kill me. Rhubarb.
Oh no.
Kevin.
Dead.
Kevin, good. Gonna be like, what the heck is this stuff in my inventory when I wake up and come back?
That'll be fine.
Next Saturday. Next Saturday, guys. I'll do this again. If you guys aren't busy. Ugh.
I'm not busy.
I am not busy next Saturday, so
Okay.
aside from work, I'm not very busy.
More Stardew Valley Ghost Farm.
Gather.
Now I'm on a 2-minute ad break. Waiting on other players. There it is. Maybe. Waiting on 2. There it is. Heard a ghost. Now that I know how to turn this thing off, I'm gonna go look real quick. I'm not gonna save, but at one time I was told there was like hidden areas that you could only get to with a certain mod. So now I'm exploring because I'm curious. Because I have a said mod and I'm trying to find out.
In the farm?
Yeah.
No.
Not in the farm itself, but I think it was like right here or something. I don't know. It was like somewhere in between something. It was like they're like there's a spot here. I'm stuck. There we go.
Oh no.
Stuck. Okay. It was like I used to see videos on it. There's like, hey, there's a hidden house right here. Oh look, there's a leak. Dang it. I need that leak.
It'll be there when we log back in. Oh, look,
Yeah,
there's
well.
another one.
We already gave it
There's
to
two.
George, so.
Oh, okay.
I didn't give you one yet.
Oh, see? Okay, one.
But yeah, I don't know. It used to be a thing that was like there was a house hidden in between the two spots that you can't. But it doesn't look like it. See it anyway. It was a thing.
Interesting. Oh, big stretch. Hi, baby, come here. No, you look a little wonky because I put some flea stuff on you. Yes, thank you.
Just like.
I saw a flea on her yesterday, so.
But this is a peculiar mod that you can just like jump around and go places. There is also another mod rain that I added that makes your horse skinny so he can fit in all the places.
Oh my god.
So he's not, apparently he was fat before, so it's your horse on a diet so that he can fit in those single column passageways that you can fit, but the horse can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my horse went on a diet. Now he can fit. So that is interesting. But yeah. Alright. That's the game. Ditch. 2 title screen. And that is it for stream, guys. I hope you guys are doing awesome. Thank you for hanging out and lurking. Thank you for being here.
I know you don't.
Appreciate you all. Hope you enjoyed Hax Farm and all the things we discovered today. And we'll be playing more Stardew on next Saturday. be live again. Oh, I gotta look at my own schedule. Monday, I think. I think I'm doing art again Monday. Let me look. And then Tuesday night is Discord community night. So if you want to come hang out, watch a movie Tuesday night. If Rain's not asleep. Just kidding. Just kidding. Poor Rain. But yes, Monday night we work on Eevee some more. Ghost Eevee painting. And then Tuesday is community night. So I will see you guys then. Bye everyone. Good night. And thank you again for hanging out. Say bye everyone.